Welcome back to the channel. Everybody should back up their data, either using a cloud storage service or within a server. For more people, going with the first option is often easier, but in recent years, developments in personal servers, or actually NASs, have made it much more easier for you to just have one of these in your house and just back up your data to it. So today we're here to talk about the DXP4800 GT, right here in front of me, see what features it brings, what kind of connectivity it has, the speeds it can achieve, and how easy it is to set up. First, we need to take it out of the box, so let's do that now. Taking a quick look around the outside, we can see its multiple intended use cases. First is as a media hub. Then you can do data sync and backup, of course. You can also remote access it from your phone or a different computer outside of the local network. And of course, you can share it with multiple users. We have some more specs here on the back. The capacity is up to 144 terabytes, which for a 4-bay NAS is really impressive. Then it has an HDMI 4K output, so you can go straight into your TV to stream movies and TV series. And then dual 10 gigabit network ports. These are very important because if your whole infrastructure supports this, you're gonna get blazing fast speeds for this. Here on the right side, we have package contents and some specs, but we're gonna talk more about this later. So let's get it out of the box. First things first is a box of accessories, which we're gonna set right here. We then remove this piece of foam. And the last thing in the box is the NAS itself. The NAS comes packed in this plastic bag, so we're gonna go ahead and remove that. Let me set this right here for the moment. And let's check out what accessories we have in this box. First, a manual and warranty card. On the right side, we have Ethernet cable and screwdriver, which is right here. And then two Ethernet cables. Finally, what looks like some thermal pads. On the other side, we have the included HDMI cable, some user instruction leaflet, the power cable, the power brick, which is decently sized, and it has an output of 19 volts at almost 8 amps, giving it 150 watts. So the unboxing was pretty easy. Let's check out the drive bays. And of course, these support toolless installation. So let me go get a few hard drives and we're gonna populate this bad boy. So while I'm installing these hard drives, let me tell you a few more details about the specs of this machine. First, it has an AMD R2514 processor with 4 cores and 8 threads to effortlessly take care of any data you might need to backup or access. It can of course also run Docker for Home Assistant or Matter and seamlessly take care of your home security surveillance footage. It's of DDR4 memory, which can be upgraded to 64 gigabytes by installing two 32 gigabyte SODIMMs. As mentioned earlier, it has dual 10 gigabit LAN ports for blazing fast speeds, either if you need to download something from it, upload to it, or just stream security footage. For your data security, this NAS can do all the common RAID types. So start from basic, JBOD, which is just a bunch of disks, basically just adding up all the capacity, and RAID 0, 1, 5, 6, and 10. Protecting all your data in case of failures, power surges, or anything like that. One of the bigger selling points of this NAS is actually its surveillance capabilities, making using security cameras much easier and giving them less friction for the end user. This NAS unifies multiple brand ONVIF IP cameras on one network, allowing you to manage, monitor, and organize all the security footage directly on your NAS. It also supports 4K output, HDR, Dolby Vision, and Blu-ray formats with customizable aspect ratio, brightness, subtitle tracks, and more. It has TMDB intelligent recognition, meaning it's gonna scrape all the movies and TV shows that you put on it, and it's gonna be able to come up with TV poster images, subtitles, ratings, cast information, and more. And again, you can plug in the NAS straight into your TV, so you can have all the playback right there. You don't need an additional device for streaming this. On top of the 4 disks that I just installed, on the bottom here, there's an access hatch where you can actually install 2 more M.2 SSDs for super fast cache storage, which is gonna help this NAS access everything really fast. So before continuing setting up the NAS, let's take a look at the ports that it offers. First, we have a big dust filter that magnetically attaches to the back of the NAS. Starting from right to left, we have the power in, then the 2 10GB LAN ports that I was mentioning earlier, 2 USB 2.0 ports, a USB 3.2 port, and the HDMI port. Moving around to the front, here we have another USB 3.2, a USB-C, an SD card reader, a bunch of LEDs indicating the status of the hard drives and the network connection, and of course, a power button. Also here on the front, after you install all the drives, you can use the included key to actually lock these so they cannot be removed anymore. So now I'm gonna pull an Ethernet cable to the NAS, attach power to it, and then we can go through the software setup. So after I connected Ethernet and power to the NAS, I powered it on, and as you can see, all the LEDs are lit up. And in order to set up this, you need to go to the UGREEN website, specifically the one for NAS products. Then we go to support, download center. We're using a NAS, we select the DXP4800 GT, and we choose a client to download. For me, it's gonna be the Windows 64-bit version. And I already installed this, and now let's go through the initial setup together. So it's already being detected here. We need to register it. We're gonna name the device. This is good enough. Continue, set the admin account name. And once we set up a password, we're gonna skip this. Then we're prompted to choose the system update method. And we're gonna go with the first one, which is only important updates to UGOS and apps are automatically installed. And we hit initialize. Give it a quick moment, checking for updates. And right now it's gonna go ahead and configure the operating system. And we'll also get a prompt on the bottom here that when configuration is complete, the device will reboot. And while the operating system is loading, let me tell you about another super nice feature of this NAS, the capability to work as the central hub for all your home surveillance. This is one of the biggest selling points of this new model, and I'm going to tell you a few details about it now. The surveillance center built into this NAS is a professional security monitoring application that transforms your NAS into a very powerful NVR, or network video recorder. You can use this app to access IP cameras, record videos, play back previous recordings, and manage all the user access permissions. You can actually find the surveillance center in the app center of the NAS. You just go ahead and install it through there to complete the setup process. It is fully compatible with standard ONVIF and RTSP camera communication protocols, supporting most mainstream IP cameras on the market. It has a very powerful automatic camera detection mode that scans the subnet for all available cameras, but you can also add cameras manually if you so desire. On top of that, you can also set up storage rules for each camera. So for example, after a camera is set up, you can configure its storage location, for how long the videos are going to be stored, the capacity that is limited to, the recording mode, and of course, the local camera name. Another great thing is that on the homepage of the app, you can actually see multiple camera screens, just like a professional dashboard you see in the movies, to see all the camera feeds that you have connected. It also has pan, tilt, and zoom controls built in, so if your cameras support that, you can actually control the pan, the tilt, and the zoom of the cameras straight from the application. It also features event detection, so you could filter videos that were previously recorded by events that happened. So in the meantime, it seems that the NAS has initialized, and we're greeted with this welcome screen. And let's start this. Top left, we can see all the installed apps. Then we have the control panel here. First app on the left is going to be our app center, and in the personalized settings on the right, we can change the wallpaper. Now we're automatically introduced to the storage section. So we're gonna go ahead and create a storage pool. Because previously I installed 4 hard drives, they all show up here along with their serial numbers. So in case you have an error, you can detect which one has the errors and then swap it out. So let's go ahead and choose some drives. For the purpose of this video, let's choose all 4. And the nice thing on the screen is that it actually gives you details about each type of storage pool and what kind of protection they provide. So for example, if we choose basic, it tells us that the number of hard drives we can use is only 1. And in the case that the hard drive fails, all the data will be permanently lost. We then have JBOD, or just a bunch of disks, which basically puts together all the storage into one single pool, but that also means if one hard drive fails, the data will be permanently lost. Then we have RAID 0, which requires at least 2 hard drives, and in this mode it's actually going to spread the load across all the hard drives to increase the read and write speeds. But the downside of that is the data is scattered on all the drives, so in case one drive fails, again, you lose all your data. The next one would be RAID 1, which again, it requires at least 2 hard drives. So to explain RAID 1 a bit better, it basically duplicates all the data on each hard drive. So in my case, I have 4 hard drives. I'll basically have 4 copies of my data on each hard drive, meaning the total space in the end available for this pool would be only the one of one hard drive. So 1.8 terabytes in this case, we have 4 drives of 2 terabytes each. So that means I can lose up to 3 drives out of the 4 before I lose any data. This is really not the best use of these 4 hard drives, but it's a very redundant option for storage. I would use RAID 1 in case I have, for example, 2 drives, or maybe 3 if I really want some backup, but for more than 3 this doesn't really make sense anymore. We then have RAID 5 as being recommended, and it tells us that we need at least 3 hard drives with a capacity of 5.4 terabytes, so it's using 3 out of the 4 drives to give us the storage, and one drive for parity. And the details also tell exactly that. If one hard drive fails, the data can still be restored. We then have RAID 6 and RAID 10. For the purpose of this video, we're gonna go with RAID 5, which is the best option out of all of these in terms of speed and also storage and redundancy. And we're gonna click next. Then we can select how much storage we want to allocate to this volume. We're gonna go full, and then we can choose a file system. First one is ext4, high stability and performance, supports large capacity storage. And then BTRFS or ButterFS supports snapshotting, copying, assigning space quotas of shared folders, and advanced data integrity protection. For most users, ext4 is going to be just fine, so we're going to go with that. Here we have a summary of all the settings we chose, and we're going to hit create. It's going to give us a prompt that if we continue with this, all the data on all the hard drives will be deleted, which of course we want to. Then it's going to ask for the password. So I'm going to let the NAS build up the storage volume, and then we're going to be back to run some tests, transfer some files, see the speeds, and also check out how loud it can get. So after the volume got successfully created, we can go into the files, within personal folder, create a new folder in here, and I'm going to name it video backup. And in here I'm going to start transferring some video files to test the speed. And actually I'm going to start uploading multiple videos at the same time to see how the NAS deals with multiple data streams incoming. And in order to check the speed, we can go to the task center in the top right. And here we have a queue and a list of all the files that we're currently transferring. And out of the 5 that I queued, we can see that 3 are ongoing right now. We can also open the task manager and check out the usage. Here we can see also the CPU temperature, how much of the CPU is being utilized, the amount of memory in use, and if we go to the network and internet adapters within Windows, we can see that my internet speed on wire is actually 1000 megabits per second, which makes sense that the total speed of my transfers is around 110 megabytes. And if we go back into the task manager, we can see the network speeds being correct at 116 megabytes per second, and the CPU is starting to warm up at 51. So while the transfer is going, I want to show you some settings I'm doing for the NAS. And within the control panel, we can change the cooling mode, and I set it to quiet. Also under power management, I set it to energy saving. And within the power tab, I also enabled hard drive sleep and set it to 10 minutes. This means the NAS will turn off the hard drives when not needed to minimize the power consumption and the noise. And going back to the transfers, we see that the NAS has no problem keeping up with consistent data throughput, and it's still maxing out the gigabit connection at 116 megabytes per second. And after the transfers are done, let's go through the App Center. First view includes all the available apps, but then we can also filter them. So first would be System Management, and most of the apps here are already installed. We can also check out some utilities. One of the more useful ones here is the virtual machine and the surveillance center. As discussed before, for the NVR, managing your surveillance cameras and more,
you also have Docker, Firefox, and more apps in here. And then we can move on to security. And finally backup, and where we have the main sync and backup utility, snapshot, and cloud drives.
So after those successful tests regarding the speed, how the interface looks, the apps and the settings, we can now check out how loud it is. And actually, I can barely hear it myself sitting right here. And I'm just gonna go super close to the exhaust. Yeah, no, you can't really hear it. The main sound coming from the NAS is actually just the hard drives working. You can hear the scan head over the platters, but that's very, very quiet, and it's supposed to turn off after the 10 minutes we set in the settings for the hard drive sleeping. Of course, in this NAS you can use not only hard drives, but 2.5-inch SSDs as well. You just need to reconfigure the hard drive caddies a bit, and there's diagrams for that within the manual. And if your tasks running Docker, Home Assistant, and all the smart home integrations require more memory in the future, as mentioned, underneath where we have the flap, you can upgrade the RAM to have more memory to assist you with those tasks. So in the end, I really like the industrial design of the DXP4800 GT NAS from UGREEN. It's really quiet, which is really appreciated if you're gonna have this in your office or somewhere close where you can hear it almost every day. For the moment, it seems to be running very cool, but right now it's in an open space. Maybe if we put this into a cabinet, it's gonna get a bit hotter, but still, it's running pretty good. Of course, this having the backup and snapshot features, it also has a phone app, which you can use to back up your phone to this and also access all the files remotely. And another app that you can use on any other computer that's not on the local network. And with some login details and one option turned on in the settings, you can access it from that app to get access to your files anywhere. In the end, this is one of the more polished experiences I've had with a NAS and its operating system. And I have no problem recommending the DXP4800 GT to somebody that needs to have some backup in their life, somewhere to store those valuable family pictures, videos, and maybe documents for the future. Having all the parity modes available when you set up a volume is really great. That way, if one of the hard drive fails, you're not gonna lose your precious data, which is the main point of having a NAS. And with the option of having up to 32 terabytes drives per caddy, this can store a lot of data, but again, at a maximum of 144 terabytes, making it super future-proof, holding your data for years to come. As a side note from me, if you buy hard drives for a NAS like this or any other NAS, make sure you get the hard drives that are actually rated for NAS operation or server operation. They're gonna provide much bigger lifespan and more peace of mind. If you wanna find more details about the DXP4800 GT, check out the link in the video description. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel for more tech videos like this one, and I'll see you next time.